Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on July 19th, 2021 at approximately 12:32 p.m. PST. Well, today ought to be interesting. I may end up bringing this one short a little because I've got a call coming in from Author House in just shy of half an hour. So, I will do what I can and see what happens. The last time they were supposed to call, they missed the call by about 4 hours, so we'll find out. This really does boil down to an issue of this. You've got a goal in your head as to what you'd like to do to accomplish, what you're not content with. Now, I've got a whole pile of things on the go. What is it? This is called junk mail. Well, technically it's not. Technically, it's advertising, but since I don't go anywhere right now, it becomes junk mail. Yes, I'm going to continue puttering because I've got a lot of things I gotta get done today, and this is just the way that I function. But when you've got the energy in your house running properly, you'll find things work a lot more smoothly for you. Okay, the first thing you'll find when you get the energy moving right, and we're talking about essentially feng shui. Okay, redirecting energy. Now, you read up on it, and most of the books in feng shui are built on Eastern philosophy, which is great because their entire culture seems to be built that way. But the principle still applies. You may not have a north-facing window you can work with. Lord knows with apartment blocks, they don't all face north. Or if they do, you've got a really weird apartment block. But get things organized where you've got the energy running in the right direction. Yes, I seem to have not got myself quite as organized as I should have, but that's okay. Nobody ever said I was perfect. Actually, I say quite the opposite. Now, I was asked a question the other day. Okay, actually, I think it was last night. Let me just take a look at that. Where the heck did we go? I'm just going to go in here. I'm sitting here. I've got my email right here. So I'm going to take a look at it. Now, I was asked to answer the question quite concisely. Okay, the problem that they ran, the question that was asked. Okay, and this individual offered for me to answer it here on the journey. And it falls right into the line here with regards to putting energy in the right place. Okay, now the way the situation that the individual faced was that they got rear-ended by a car. Okay, now let's start with the obvious issue. Okay, they're fine, but they are having, it was just from what I'm reading here. It was literally just some bumper damage, and it didn't do any damage to the individual questioning it. Okay, but the question that was asked was, how do you move forward? Well, there's no easy way to do it, at least not that I'm aware of. What you do, okay, when you've been in an accident, I've been rear-ended myself, so I've got first-hand knowledge on this one, unfortunately, as well. But the easiest way to move forward is to, first of all, commit to your own memory the fact that you got out of it in one piece. Okay, yes, it had some bumper damage, and with it being, as is stated here, it is 100% the other person's fault. Meaning even the insurance doesn't go up. So all you're really dealing with, in the long and the short of it, is you're dealing with the memory of the accident. Now, you can hang on to that memory, and you can dwell on it and continually look over your shoulder and worry about the next one. Or you can go, I got through it. Now I'm going to focus on moving forward. Quite a while ago, I made this analogy that when you're driving down the road, okay, you've got a choice. You can look out the back window, you can look out the side windows, or you can look out the front. The back window represents the things that have gone on, that you've already gone through, that are already behind you. You cannot change them. There is no amount of work you're going to be able to do to alter the fact you got rear-ended. There's nothing you can do to alter the fact you didn't pay quite enough attention. Okay. Depending on what was going on, like in my case, when I got rear-ended, the thing that haunted me for the longest time was, if I'd have been more aware of what was behind me, would I have been able to adjust where I was sitting to avoid the accident? Now, this is still 100% the person running behind you. Okay, absolutely, it's still 100% their fault, but it doesn't take away the question of, could I have done anything? Okay, that falls under the same category as, if I knew then what I know now, would I have avoided it? Now, you can play that scenario through your head for as long as you'd like. It won't change the fact that it happened. But one of the tricks that I found to letting go of that kind of a problem was, I turned around and looked at it and went, okay, I hadn't had a serious accident. I hadn't been rear-ended before that at all. So the odds are, I'm not going to have it happen again. Okay, now you can look at it and go, but I got rear-ended, and that haunts me. And it may do so. In all fairness, it could run through your head for a couple of months. But what'll happen if you keep moving forward, if you keep looking down the road and paying attention to what you're doing, that accident will become just another accident, just another annoyance, along the same lines in memory as the first time you blew a tire on the side of the road and didn't know what to do with it. Okay, it'll get back into that same seating. The memory won't exactly go away, but the impact will lessen as you do more things, as you travel more, as you get out and about more, as you see more cars come up behind you and not hit the car. That's going to be the hard part, is you're likely to be a little tense for a while. Okay, but one of the ways of coping with that for the moment is, as much as possible, drive in less congested areas if it's possible. Okay, because the less people you're dealing with, the less stress you're going to be feeling. Now, rest assured, I've been in an accident where I wrote the entire car off. Okay, I was in an accident where I actually hit a pedestrian. To this day, hitting the pedestrian, I can see that person coming up over the hood of my car. The trick to letting go is, every morning, every time you think about that accident, take a look at the person that was with you, and you literally realize they are still the same person. They're still there. You're still able to move forward. Okay, that person that was with you is still beside you. Okay, because there was no physical damage done to the people involved. Okay, and it was 100% the other person's fault. The best thing that you can do, from my experience, is look at the person you were with and acknowledge the fact in your heart that, yes, you both went through a terrifying experience. Not as bad as some. There is always somebody that's had something worse. But I will tell you, when I tore my leg apart when I was a kid, and my mom was trying to be really nice about it, and she turned around and she says, "Look, Keith, so and so down the street," because I damaged my leg badly. I ground it up pretty bad, but I didn't break it. And my mom was trying to be nice, and she goes, "Look, Keith, so and so down the road broke his arm." And my immediate response, and this is the same to you, okay, the fact that I says, "Mom, not to be cold, but if he had broken both his legs and his arm, I still wouldn't feel any better." From your standpoint, the reality of it is this, okay, There are other accidents that are worse, but the damage that you've gone through, the trauma that you've gone through now, and the memory is something that will continually create a problem if you let it. But take a look at the number of years you've been driving. Okay, and then count your. And now you take a look at that. And let's say you've only been driving for 10 for. Well, let's do it the easy way. Let's say you only drove for a year, and you're driving every day. So you've been out on the road 365 days. One of those, one 356th day, okay, is all you've been rear-ended. Now, you can focus on that one accident, or you can focus on the 364 non-rear ends. Okay, by doing that, if you really want to get carried away with it, you could absolutely check off the day on the calendar when you had the accident. Right, you can mark it off, or better yet, starting effectively immediately, take the calendar, and I'm talking, in all fairness, a physical calendar, and check off the day that you were out that you didn't have an accident. You'll find it will end up in that they will counterbalance really fast. Now, I will admit, the first week you're probably going to be a lot more nervous and a lot more edgy about the whole thing. But what you will find is that in time, that edginess and that concern will fade. Okay. That is the easiest way from my standpoint. Okay. When you have an accident, especially if you're not prone to them. If you're not prone to accidents, it becomes a whole lot easier. Okay. But the easiest way to move on now, there's virtually no doubt. For at least the first week, you're likely to be worrying about being rear-ended again. But if you concentrate on the number of times you've gone out driving and not been rear-ended, not even had a close call, okay, that will help you move forward. Okay, and think of the other side of this. You went through the accident, you find out it's only a bumper, it's only bruised bumpers, as it were, but you're fine, and the person with you is fine. Think of the relief that both of you had, and especially the relief you had when the accident happened. Okay, when you found out, okay, we're fine, the accident's over, that sudden shock is done, but we're both fine. Just concentrate on the relief you felt when you realized you were actually fine. Yes, it was frightening, it was disturbing, it was a shocking experience. But focus on the relief you felt when it clued in that you were not hurt. That is the important factor right there. Okay, and this, by the way, this does apply to every shock you have. Okay, and the same philosophy, okay, that same outlook applies to people when you have this neat little problem. Like, I've been held up at gunpoint. I've been in an armed robbery in a store I was working in. And that same sense of relief hits you right after the event is over. Okay, if nobody's been hurt, then that same sense of relief will hit you, and this same philosophy of focusing on that joy that you felt, on that relief that you felt as soon as it clued in that, no, I'm really not hurt. Yes, I've got damaged my bumper. Okay, or when I was held up at gunpoint, yes, I've got damage to my nerves, but no bullets were shot. I didn't lose money. That relief is the thing you focus on. That will be the greatest key to moving forward. To letting go of the issue. Okay. Now, the reality is there's a staggering amount of stuff that you do not have control over. Okay. And the easiest thing in dealing with stuff you don't have control over is you start, and again, this comes right back to the core of what I've been talking about. Okay, when you're focusing on what you've got control over, take a look, and this is where this neat little list comes in. Now, I cannot, and nobody can control how other people feel. Okay, you can try and put your thoughts in the head of the person that rear-ended you, but I will tell you, you won't know for certain. And even if you end up rear-ending somebody, you're not going to know how the person that rear-ended you feels or felt at the time. But one of the tricks for gaining an understanding of what you've got control over is, ironically, this list I keep talking about. Okay, by focusing on that, by focusing on the things that you can control, and moving and redirecting the energy so that you're not dealing with, so you're able to take the negative and move it aside, go where you desire it to. Okay, that again is a way of gaining control over the stuff you can't control. You don't control the stuff, but what you do learn to control is how you feel about the stuff you can't control. Okay, ask yourself this. In your mind, okay, when you run back through the accident, Lord knows you're running back through the accident time and again. When you run through the accident, you run through that traumatic event. Say, and run it through your head and think, is there anything I realistically could have done to avoid it? Did I do something stupid? The odds are, in all likelihood, no. What you had was an accident. You were trying to take everything into consideration. And it's like I've told people, okay, the reality of it is this. When you're looking at a situation, because you cannot control the way other people behave, okay, ask yourself, is there anything I could have done? The odds are the answer is no. You can only control the way you think and the way you deal with things. Okay, but if you focus on that joy, on that relief, that nothing physically happened to you aside from a quick little jar and a little bit of bruised dents, bruised bumpers. But the reality of it is those bruised bumpers are being handled by the insurance, by the other person's insurance, not yours. Okay, that's where the easiest way is to focus. Okay, and just to be clear, before I wrap this up, because like I said, I'm wrapping this one up a little tighter than normal. I was asked not to use the individual's name, and just to be clear to the rest of you, if you come to me with a problem that you would like sorted out, ask. I will not be using anybody's name. I just don't do it. Okay. I have on occasion hinted at certain individuals. Okay. Like, but they are people directly connected to me. If somebody comes to me with a problem, bearing in mind I've been doing this for 48 years now. Okay. So rest assured, I do not use people's names. I will use them in an example. In this case, I was actually given quite literal written permission, okay, to actually use this in this situation. Okay, and hopefully the information that I'm putting out here will be of benefit to the person that asked. And as well as that, hopefully it will help you if you've gone through a traumatic experience. Hopefully this way of looking at it will help you move forward and let go of that trauma. Okay, understand the memory will not go away. It will be overpainted by new experiences. Okay, and it will eventually become part of the past. That's just the way the reality goes. Now, because of that situation, because of the situation I'm facing, I do hope this has helped a lot. Okay, if you've got questions, if you've got personal trauma that you're going through, rest assured, and this won't make you feel better, but there's lots of people that go through the same sort of thing. Drop me a line at one of the contact points below this video and let me know, and I will be very happy to connect with you, possibly to share in general terms the situation you've gone through, because of the fact this individual that contacted me is not the only one that's gone through this. Okay. But but when we take a look at it, okay, the individual involved has given us permission because of one little issue. It may help you deal with it. Because regardless of what you're going through, okay, think of it this way. I've been rear-ended, I've been broadsided, I've rear-ended somebody. Okay, I've done the whole 9 yards. I'm not the only one. Okay, I know of a couple of people where their car was completely totaled and they walked out of the accident. They're not the only person. But everybody goes through the same thing. The moment you go through trauma, there's that instant of relief when you realize, I got through it, I'm still breathing. And I'm going to have to put this on pause for a moment. Okay, well, that was interesting. That was quite literally a phone call that came in because I had to have a payment go through a card in order to make sure that the other thing that I've been working on, getting a little sidetracked here off of what I was saying, but the book that I've been writing, the Birth of the Wolf Pack, which is the Yldrbac Chronicles, that was the payment that had to go through to make sure that everything continued. Now, back to what I was discussing. Okay, everybody has gone through something traumatic in their own life. Even when you think about it, little kids, when they're first learning to walk, they go through this neat little trauma falling down the stairs more often than not. Or they'll trip and they'll bang their head on the forehead, on the coffee table. These are all traumas that have an instant impact, but aside from being shaken up, they tend not to do any real damage. Okay, and the trick is to focus on that joy, on that relief that, okay, you got out of it in one piece, you're fine. Okay, it's a rather complicated setup. You do have the option of hanging on to that negativity. You do have that option. It's just not necessarily a good one. Okay, so with that in mind, I do hope that has helped. Okay, now the other thing, just to let the rest of you know as well, and the individual that asked for this, I am also going to be answering this same question for them via email. Okay, via the same contact method. Now, in all fairness, I don't recall offhand if it was email or if it was from a different form. But using the same method that they contacted me, I will get back to them and make sure they got the message. Okay, same as if you drop a question in my lap. Okay, I will respond to you personally. Although, in this case, I had direct permission to actually address the situation on video, in the hopes, as they put it, in the hopes that it would help somebody else move forward. This is the kind of thing that I'm talking about the idea of when we all work together, we can make this a better world for all. And it is through sharing how we deal with trauma, how we deal with loss, that we will be able to work together a little more readily. Okay, now with that in mind, okay, the idea when I started doing these videos, okay, I started doing the videos with the idea of just showing people how I was taking my life and turning it. Because I know the tools that I personally use as a spiritual guide. When I offer a tool to somebody, if it applies to my life, I'm already using it. Okay. Now, I am always leery about people that claim to be spiritual guides or emotional leaders that talk in terms of fear this, fear that, worry about the next, or worry about the next thing. I mean, it is amazing how many people will talk about about what is wrong and not how they coped and how they moved forward. So I cannot congratulate this individual enough for, number one, having the courage to reach out and go, look, I'm having a problem. How do I deal with it? And then having the strength to say, look, take what I've gone through and do what you have to help other people through this example. Okay, that is the kind of leadership out there that we require, that the world requires. No, it does not require people going, this is wrong, the government did this wrong, they're hiding this from us, the medical society is doing all this wrong. Okay, there are mistakes being made. Now, to be clear, when I was rear-ended, I was talking to a gentleman, to an insurance adjuster, and he told me this. He says, look, absolutely, he says, you got rear-ended legally. There is no question the individual that rear-ended you is to blame. But he said, from a reality standpoint, if you are paying a little more attention, you may have been able to avoid it. And you'll notice the word may have. Okay. In my case, when I was rear-ended, I was at a red light, and there was nobody else in the intersection. So if I'd have been paying a little bit more attention, I could have actually pulled forward and he'd have missed me, because I only got caught by the side of the car as it tried going past me. Okay. In this individual's case, by the feel of it, there was no way they could have avoided it. There was nowhere they could have gone, which means they had an accident. They got rear-ended. Thankfully, they were safe. Okay, and it's that feeling of relief, that feeling of joy. That's what you hold on to. Okay, that is the thing that will help you get through it and help you move forward. You'll have the memory for Lord knows how many years to come. The memory may fade tomorrow. Okay, I know when I was held up at gunpoint, I was at the bar and I was held up at gunpoint. Heck, the memory didn't, it stayed there, but it didn't bother me longer than about maybe 10 minutes. Of course, in all fairness, when I got held up at gunpoint, the guy ended up buying me a beer after trying to rob me, which was really kind of another setup altogether. But where it comes to accidents, you don't have any control over. And this is where it's going to be a very, very big issue. And I'm just going to touch on this briefly, but it just dawned on me just at the end here. There are many people that are in accidents, for instance, airline accidents, where they're the only person left alive. And there's this thing called survivor guilt. Okay, now, that's a very big issue, and I do feel I'm going to have to deal with that. So I'm just going to make a note for myself on that one right now. Okay, I was trying to figure out which way to take the whole issue of the journey and see where we could go. Well, this individual has made it very clear on some of the other things we can deal with. Because I can repeat myself time and again. You redirect the energy in your life, and you'll find your life works more effectively. But this is something that clearly is going to have much greater effect on people. Okay, I was trying to figure out how to make it a little bit more directed towards people. Now, here's the thing with survivor guilt. And I've got a note down. I'm going to be doing one of those pretty quick here. Not right now, but the thing with survivor guilt, if you've been in an accident and you're the survivor, now whether that means any sort of trauma, be it an airplane crash, a multi-vehicle crash, be it a robbery that you survived, doesn't matter. The trauma is still the same. Okay, and it happens to people, especially with people when they lose a child. You've still got the survivor guilt. What did I do wrong? And where you focus there, and I'm going to go into this in another video, okay, and I'll have to make a definitive note of that side of it. But when you're the survivor, the trick to moving forward, okay, is number one, take a look at, okay, I survived. Start with the relief, you survived. You can always do something more if you live through it. If you don't, you won't be too, well, in this case you might be, but take a look at the people that didn't survive and ask yourself this: how can I make my life better to make their sacrifice, their loss, functional? Okay, where can I take that loss that they went through and make my life better so I can have a more positive impact on the people around me that are still able to be impacted around me. And I will get into that in another video. But I'm going to leave it at this. Okay. Absolutely, you focus on the positive side of on the relief that you got through it in one piece. At the relief that your insurance is still intact. Okay, you're not the one paying for it. Okay, from there, make new memories and focus on the things that you can do as you're moving forward. The accident is now behind you. It's now time to move forward. Now, I will be back again tomorrow. Until then, take care of yourselves and each other, and for pity's sakes, stay positive.